Hi, I'm Bhumi. I'm a brand designer, and today I'll be explaining typography. Now, typography is one of the most misunderstood parts of branding. People assume typography is like just picking a font, but it's actually one of the most strategic decisions in your brand identity. Your fonts communicate your brand personality before anyone even reads a word. Now, the question is whether they're communicating the right thing. In this video, we're going through everything: how to pick the right typeface for your brand, the psychology behind fonts, how to pair them, how to create hierarchy, and a quick audit you can do on your own brand right now. So whether you're building your own brand yourself or about to work with a designer, this video will help you make much smarter decisions. So let's get started. Now, getting into why it matters. Why does typography matter? Now, I view typography as a connection tool. It's a way to for brands to express who they are, and that attracts the right audience. Now, strategic use of typography can help you as a brand build trust, recognition, credibility, and help you stand out. And this is where I want to show you something. Now, these are all peanut brands, and none of them have made any typographic or design decision that expresses who they are as a brand. It is purely functional, just labeling. If I swap the logos between these brands, you wouldn't even notice. All these brands follow the same structure, same format, which is putting the realistic photo of the peanuts, putting our logo and some text, and that's it. The typography just does labeling and nothing more than that. And then we have noise. Now, one thing I really like about noise is that they break the format entirely. Since they're a new brand in the market, they made sure that their logo is impossible to miss. And their typography has its own personality. It does more than just labeling. It's bold, it's confident, it's a little playful, and it matches what the brand is. The other 6 brands just gave their attention to the product photo, which just shows, okay, this is what's inside the packaging. But Noise gave the attention to the brand personalities. So people know that this is who they are, rather than just, okay, this is what we sell. Same product, same category, same shelf, but one brand is impossible to forget, while the others are hard to tell apart. Now, the difference isn't the product, it's in the intentionality of the design. It's using typography to do brand work rather than just labeling. This is what it means for typography to work for you versus typography that just exists on your packaging. Moving on to using the right typeface. Now, this is a very common question: is how do you figure out which typeface to use, which is the right typeface? Now, to understand what is right for you is to understand the psychology of fonts. Now, there are 4 types of fonts: serif, sans serif, script, and display. Now, they each have their own personality. Now, what you need to do is to figure out what your brand personality is and choose the right typeface that communicates it. So I'll be explaining each of these steps individually, starting with serif. Now, what does serif mean? Serif fonts have these decorative strokes at the end of their letters. As you can see, the S, the R, the F. Serif fonts are associated with tradition, classic, they're formal, sophisticated. So you see brands like Tiffany using serif because their brand is all about being premium, communicating elegance, sophistication, and that's what serif is associated with. It's used by industries that are like luxurious fashion brands or law firms or historic publishing companies. These are all the industries that use serif fonts, and this is what it's associated with. And here are some examples of serif fonts. These are some very popular serif fonts like Times New Roman, Garamond, Baskerville, and so on. And moving on to sans serif. Now, this is a modern font which is clean. They don't have those decorative strokes. It's associated with modern, contemporary, simplicity, minimalism. So if your brand leans towards minimalism or being clean and being simple and modern, then this is the font that you go for. It's used by Google, LinkedIn, Nike, Spotify. These are some of the examples. And most popular sans serif fonts include Helvetica, Arial, and so on. And mostly it's used by tech industries, lifestyle brands, health and wellness, corporate. Now corporates actually love using sans serif because it's a very legible font. Like, it's easy to read at any size, very scalable. And for corporate who want to, look professional, it's the go-to font. Now moving on to script fonts. Now these are all about evoking an emotion, having a personality. That's why it's used by brands like Coca-Cola and Cadbury. Now these brands, they don't want to look corporate or clean. They want to look like they're evoking an emotion. They have their own personality. They have their own flair. So they're playful, they're whimsical, they're authentic. So it's used by beauty industry, handmade and artisanal brands, the creative services, design studios, just to convey like a strong personality. So if you're a brand who leans towards that and you want to have like a strong brand personality, or you want to like show and be whimsical and be playful, then you can go with a script font. Here are some popular examples of script fonts. You can either go one of these, or there's also like great options outside of these. Moving on to display fonts. Now, display fonts are like distinctive typeface for eye-catching visual impact. It's associated with boldness, impact, creativity, uniqueness, flair. So it's used by brands like Lego or Disney. So they're used in industries like entertainment, media, food and beverage, event promotions, creative, artistic industries. So this is basically just to grab attention, but of course you can't use display font in like small text and all. It needs to be used for like big headings or like logos. Now I want to show some examples of what happens when you mismatch the industry and the fonts. Now let's assume that Samsung goes with a font like this. Now here the font is artistic, it's creative, but that's not the right thing to communicate for a tech industry. It's good for like when you are selling like handmade products or something, or it's like something related to beauty. But when it comes to a tech brand, you want the brand to feel trustworthy, reliable, like they know what they're doing, the related technology. But if you have a font like this, you're going to question the credibility of the brand. And that's why the Samsung's original logo works, because it's clean, geometric, bold, and communicate what the brand actually is. Now here the wrong font isn't wrong because of how it looks. It's wrong because it's telling the wrong thing about the wrong industry. Now if you compare this with, let's say, Chemist at Play. Now they are in the beauty industry. So if you see this logo, it has no warmth or personality, and it's so rigid that doesn't make sense for a beauty brand, for a cosmetic brand, because it looks so rigid. It's not going to appeal to the right audience. But this is their original logo, which is, approachable, warm, makes sense for an industry like that. So the mismatch in fonts, it doesn't just look off, it can create distrust, which could give people the reason to switch to your competitor. So make sure you choose the right font for that makes sense for your industry or your product. Now moving on to font pairings, the contrast principle. Most brands don't just use one typeface, they use two, sometimes three, and the relationship between those fonts matters just as much as the individual font choices themselves. Now, what the contrast principle says is that there needs to be contrast in your font pairings. Now, I'm going to explain this using these examples. Now, there's a style contrast, there's a personality contrast, and there's a weight contrast. Style contrast is a classic. You can go with a serif font with a sans serif pairing. So the serif font is used for headings and sans serif is used for body text. Then you have display font paired with a sans serif, and then a sans serif font paired with. Now this is the weight contrast. That means if you're going with both sans serif, that means one needs to have a different weight than the body. Look here in this case, the sans serif bold weight is used for the headings, and a simple medium or lightweight is used for the body text. And then you can pair script with serif. This can be used to show sophistication, like which discussed earlier. So if you're confused about what to pair with your fonts or how to do the font pairing, you can use this for reference. Now, one thing you must have noticed is the repetition of sans serif as the body font. Now, there's a reason behind this. It's because the sans serif font is very easy to read. It's a very functional and legible font. That's why you can never go wrong with a sans serif for your body font. You can pair it with serif, display, another sans serif, or even script, and people would still be able to read. So it's a very functional font. Now, moving on to what to avoid. Now, this is something that you should be avoiding. Using decorative font with another decorative font. Like if in this case, they are both script fonts, and this makes reading very hard. So if you're going with a decorative font, make sure body font is readable, whether you're going with a serif or a sans serif font. Second mistake is using two sans serif font, but they're near identical. Now, what you can do is make sure that if you're using sans serif, make sure they belong to the same typeface. Like here, they're both from the same typeface, but it uses a weight difference to create contrast. Here, Helvetica and Arial, they're near identical, but they're two different typeface, which is quite odd. Either you can go both Helvetica, one bold, one light, or you can go with both Arial. But choosing two near identical font, but two different typeface, don't do that. It creates this mismatch. And third is using like completely different personalities. So your heading is like this carefree personality font, and the other is like this blocky font. So make sure when you're pairing fonts, they communicate the same personality. It can't have this mismatchy personality because it will only confuse your viewers. Moving on to explaining. So earlier I showed example of noise. So what they have done is that they've used this bold sans serif font for the heading and another sans serif font for their body text. So not only does it create a strong contrast, it's readable, it communicates their personality, and the viewer doesn't have to struggle. Now, these are some very common font pairings. Now, if you're someone who doesn't want to spend a lot of time figuring out which fonts to use and how to pair them, these are some fallback fonts you can use. These are easily accessible. You can find them online, and these fonts like have the contrast, follows the contrast principle, and you can use them in your designs. Moving on to hierarchy. Now, hierarchy is all about making sure the reader reads the information in the right order. And this is what I mean. So how do you create hierarchy? There are three levels. There's the main heading, the subheading, and the body text. Now, either you can use like multiple typeface like this example, or you can choose one typeface and create hierarchy this way. So here I have used the same typeface and I've used the bold for main heading, medium for subheading, and a regular font for the body text. So the viewer reads the main heading first, then the subheading, which provides context to the main heading and the body text. So when you use hierarchy the right way, it makes it effortless for people to read the context, to read the design, to read the information. So moving on to spacing, I'm going to explain this one a little quick. So basically there are three types of text spacing. There's leading, tracking, and kerning. Now bad spacing can make good fonts look cheap, and good spacing can make even simplest forms look intentional. Leading is basically spacing between two lines. So when the spacing is too tight, the text can feel suffocating and reading can become a bit uncomfortable. But when they are too loose, it can feel a bit disconnected, making it hard for people to follow the lines. The right leading depends on the font size and context. Now, body text generally needs more breathing room, but large display headings, they can be a little tighter. They can sit together tightly because there's not much lines to read from. Now, tracking is the letter spacing across a word or a block of text. Tracking is the letter spacing across an entire word or a block of text. Tight tracking can feel intense, urgent, or compressed, which can work for bold headlines, but it becomes unreadable in small sizes. And loose tracking can feel airy, premium. This is why luxury brands almost always use loose tracking on their word marks and headings because it creates a sense of space and exclusivity. So a very common mistake is using the default tracking for everything. But just adjusting tracking little bit can immediately elevate how a typography feels. And kerning is basically spacing between two letters. It is more precise than tracking. It's adjusting the space between two specific letters. So letters like A and B or T and O, the shapes of the letters can create this optical uneven spacing, even if they're mathematically spaced equally. So kerning fixes this issue. So the spacing feels visually even rather than technically even. So for logo typography especially, kerning needs to be deliberate. A logo is seen at every size and every context. So bad kerning can really affect the brand. So spacing is invisible when it's done right. Nobody looks at packaging design and thinks, oh, the lighting is perfect. They just feel that this is easy to read, it's premium. But when you get the spacing wrong, people can feel the friction, even if they don't know what it is. This is one of the reasons typography is a skill and not just some font selection exercise. Now, I kind of want to explain what a bad hierarchy looks like and what bad spacing looks like. If you look at this example of a flyer, it follows no hierarchy and the spacing is completely off. And because of that, as a reader, you have no idea what to read first because it doesn't tell you, it doesn't guide the eye. Everything is screaming all at once. Multiple fonts, multiple sizes, multiple weights, all caps, and it creates like a complete visual chaos. And the message in itself doesn't actually get communicated because of that. Hierarchy isn't about making things look pretty. It's about making sure your message actually reaches the person reading it. Now contrast this to what good hierarchy actually does. It's easy to read. You know exactly what to read first and what to read next compared to this. Now moving on to the typography audit. I want you to do your own typography audit right now. Ask yourself these 4 questions. First is, does my typeface match my brand personality? I want you to write 3 brand words and see if your brand personality is actually communicated in your typography. This question is all about intentionality. Now, most founders, they pick a font because it looked nice or it was available. But that's not a strategy. Your fonts need to match the 3 words you'd use to describe your brand. The second question is there a clear visual hierarchy in my design? If someone looked at your Instagram post or packaging for 3 seconds, would they know what to read first? Something we just discussed right now about using hierarchy in your design. Your text needs to be able to be read. So do this 3-second test. Show your design to someone and see if they struggle to read it. The third question is, do my font pairings have enough contrast? Now this needs to follow the contrast principle. It needs to have enough contrast. Put your heading font and your body font side by side and see if it creates enough contrast or it follows the contrast principle. And the last question is, am I using too many fonts? Count the typeface across your brand touch points. And if there's more than 3, then something needs to go. A very common mistake is people using too many fonts. Do not do that. Do not use more than 3 fonts. Founders often have one font on their website, a different font on their packaging, another one in their social media. And because of that, the brand can feel very inconsistent as a result. So if you've answered, I'm not sure to even one of these questions, that's your starting point. Now, you don't need to redo everything. You just need to make small intentional decisions. So if this video was helpful, share it with a founder who needs to hear this. If you have any questions related to typography, do let me know in the comments and I will answer them. Thanks for watching and don't forget to save this video.